In the glitz and chatter of this year's daytime Emmy season, where familiar names like The Kelly Clarkson Show and The View tend to dominate the headlines, a quieter but no less remarkable milestone slipped by almost unnoticed. Kelly Ripa and Mark Consuelos, the magnetic real-life couple who co-host Live with Kelly and Mark, have just done something no pair in the history of daytime television has achieved. They didn't just take home another trophy for Outstanding Daytime Talk Series. They broke a record, one that not even icons like Regis Philbin, Oprah Winfrey, or Ellen DeGeneres could touch. And true to form, the couple's reaction was equal parts humility, humor, and sheer disbelief. A record hiding in plain sight. When the winners were announced at the 2025 Daytime Emmy Awards, Live with Kelly and Mark clinched Outstanding Daytime Talk Series, again. It marked Kelly Ripa's 8th Daytime Emmy win connected to the Live franchise, stretching across her co-hosting eras with Regis, Michael Strahan, Ryan Seacrest, and now Mark Consuelos. That alone is impressive. But here's where the record-breaking moment sneaks in. With this win, Kelly and Mark became the first married couple in history to co-host a daytime talk show and win the Emmy together for it. Think about that for a second. Daytime television has seen dynamic duos of all stripes, professional partners, best friends, even family members, but never before has a married pair shared that particular golden statue. It's surreal, Ripa said backstage, still holding onto the trophy like she might drop it. We've been married for nearly 30 years, but this feels like a honeymoon gift we didn't see coming. Consuelos, beaming beside her, added with his trademark mix of charm and self-deprecation, "I'm just trying not to mess up the speech. Kelly's been doing this for decades. I still feel like the intern who wandered into the studio by accident." From soap set to Emmy stage, their journey to that moment traces back nearly 3 decades, to the set of All My Children, where sparks first flew between their characters, and, famously, off-screen as well. What began as scripted romance between Hailey Vaughn and Mateo Santos evolved into one of daytime's most enduring real-life love stories. Back then, no one could have predicted that the young actors from a soap opera would someday reign over the most-watched talk show in the country, dethroning ratings giants and redefining what morning television could be. Kelly's energy was always electric, remembers a longtime Live producer who's been with the show since the early 2000s. But when Mark joined permanently, the dynamic shifted in this magical way. It was like Live had found its full-circle moment. The audience saw two people who weren't just playing at chemistry. They were living it. That authenticity, the sense that viewers are peeking into the couple's actual marriage, morning banter, playful teasing, affectionate eye rolls and all, has been the secret ingredient to Live's continued success. Quiet record, loud relevance. It's almost ironic that such a major record went largely unacknowledged in mainstream coverage of the awards. The Emmys that night were filled with big headlines, a surprise win for a streaming talk show here, a moving tribute to a late host there. But the Live team didn't seem to mind the relative quiet around their accomplishment. In fact, Kelly seemed to prefer it that way. "We've never done this show for trophies," she said later on Live's Monday morning episode, the Emmy sitting on the counter like an extra cup of coffee. "We do it because we genuinely love spending our mornings with you all. The Emmy is like the foam art on the cappuccino, lovely, but not the point." Mark couldn't resist jumping in, although, to be fair, I'd like foam art every morning too. Just putting that out there. Cue audience laughter. Cue Kelly's classic mock eye roll. Cue the kind of organic chemistry that no teleprompter can fake. The evolution of Live, and why this win matters. It's easy to forget how much Live has evolved since Kelly first joined the show in 2001. The franchise, launched by Regis Philbin and Kathie Lee Gifford in 1988, has gone through multiple identity shifts, adapting to new generations while retaining its familiar warmth. Kelly and Mark's version of Live is perhaps the most intimate yet. Gone are the overly formal segments of early 2000s daytime. In their place is a show that feels like breakfast at a friend's kitchen table, if that friend happens to be one of the most charming, quick-witted couples on television. They talk about everything. Raising 3 kids, aging, weird food habits, botched vacations, and yes, even their marriage squabbles. It's all out there. And in an era where authenticity has become television's greatest currency, Live with Kelly and Mark has found a perfect groove. Viewers tune in not for celebrity gossip or cooking tips, though those help, but for the banter. "I think what people connect with is that we're just real," Kelly once said. "We're not performing our marriage, we're living it, and you happen to be watching." That sincerity, wrapped in lighthearted humor, is precisely what Emmy voters rewarded this year, even if they didn't realize they were cementing a record in the process. A new kind of power couple. The Consuelos Ripa duo has always defied easy categorization. They're not just television hosts, they're business partners, co-producers, and parents of 3 adult children: Michael, Lola, and Joaquin. They juggle acting, writing, and producing projects while maintaining a marriage that's become both a brand and a beacon of long-term compatibility in Hollywood's often fickle spotlight. "Mark is my favorite scene partner, whether we're acting or arguing," Kelly joked in her 2022 memoir Live Wire, Long-Winded Short Stories. "And I mean that in the best possible way." That spirit carries over onto their show. Their playful debates about household chores or their kids' dating lives aren't staged bits, they're extensions of their real conversations. When you watch Live with Kelly and Mark, you're seeing a marriage in motion, chaotic, hilarious, and surprisingly relatable. Which is precisely why this record matters. It's not just a milestone for daytime TV, it's a symbolic victory for the idea that love and work don't have to exist on separate tracks. Behind the scenes of their Emmy night, those who were at the ceremony describe a scene that was classic Kelly and Mark, equal parts glamorous and goofy. When their category was announced, Kelly reportedly gasped and grabbed Mark's hand in disbelief, whispering, "Wait, what?" A producer sitting nearby said Mark looked momentarily frozen, before leaning over to his wife and murmuring, "You're going to have to drag me up there." And she did. On stage, Kelly thanked the live crew, the unsung heroes, who've kept the show thriving through studio relocations, technical hiccups, and countless cups of coffee. Then, turning to Mark, she said, "You've made every morning an adventure. Even when we're running late, even when we don't agree on which camera to look at, I wouldn't trade this for anything." Mark's reply, understated and heartfelt, drew applause. "I'm just grateful the audience lets us be ourselves. And that you still let me sit next to you." The moment was both simple and sweet. No dramatics, no tears, just 2 people genuinely grateful to still be doing what they love, together. Why the record almost went unnoticed. Part of the reason their record-breaking moment didn't make bigger waves comes down to how seamlessly Kelly and Mark integrate their success into their everyday humor. They don't self-promote the way many television personalities do. Instead, they often poke fun at their own achievements. On the following Monday's broadcast, Kelly opened the show holding the Emmy and quipped, "We're putting this in the kitchen next to the salt shaker, that way we'll actually see it." Mark added, "Or maybe next to the remote control, since that's where we do most of our creative decision-making." Their humility, and tendency to downplay their own history-making, might be precisely why so many viewers feel such a connection to them. The legacy of Live, and what's next? With this Emmy, Live with Kelly and Mark has now solidified its status as the most enduring talk show franchise in American television history, still hosted by its namesake duo. The show's audience remains fiercely loyal, ratings steady, and social media engagement sky high, especially among viewers who appreciate the couple's unfiltered honesty. There are whispers that the couple is planning a behind-the-scenes documentary to celebrate Live's upcoming 40th anniversary in 2028, a retrospective featuring archival clips from the Regis years through the current era. If that's true, it would mark yet another first, the longest-running, continuously co-hosted morning talk show with a married duo at its helm. But if you ask Kelly, she's not thinking that far ahead. "We're just taking it one morning at a time," she told reporters after the ceremony. "I always say, when we walk into that studio, we're not thinking about breaking records. We're thinking about who forgot to make the coffee." A love story written in morning light. At its core, the Consuelos Ripa success story isn't about awards or even television. It's about endurance, about the quiet beauty of 2 people choosing to grow together, both in life and in work, over decades. They've weathered career pivots, parenting challenges, and public scrutiny, and somehow come out the other side with their humor and marriage intact. Maybe that's why this record feels so special. Because it isn't just about the number of Emmys or the longevity of a franchise. It's about what it represents: partnership, reinvention, and the kind of love story that feels refreshingly unscripted. As Mark put it perfectly during the show's closing segment the morning after their win, "We're just grateful people still want to have breakfast with us." Kelly smiled, that familiar mix of affection and sarcasm dancing in her voice. "Well," she said, "as long as you keep making the coffee, they probably will." And with that, the couple who just quietly made daytime television history did what they always do best: moved on, hand in hand, to another perfectly ordinary, extraordinary morning.